Right, so in today's video we are going to be tackling a bit of an issue that we have in the lawn at the moment. Now, because of the time of year we're in now, a big problem we've got at the moment is weed grass. So you can see we've got weed grasses in the lawn like this. This one's known as power annua. You'll have seen loads of different YouTube videos on it about how to tackle it, how to deal with it, so on and so forth. So we've got quite a lot of this knocking about. Now, I've noticed that there's not a lot of it near the front. And I think the main reason why is because when we renovated this lawn earlier this year, these bits were brand new and were seeded with fresh soil there. There was nothing there before them because of when I did the actual edging for the French drain. I think with last year not cutting the lawn enough and taking off a lot of those seed heads from the power annua, it's ended up being a lawn that's sort of riddled in a way with a lot of these weed heads. So you can just see, a big telltale sign that you've got an issue with power annua is you've got different colours around the lawn. So you can see how it's dark green in some spaces, which is healthy grass. And these lighter spaces, if you're getting close, let's say this one here, you can see there's so many weed heads. Now, the reason why this is quite a big problem and the reason why it's spread so much is the fact that weed grasses like this, they grow laterally across your lawn. So, most of your grass is standing upright, whereas these will grow across your lawn. And as you're cutting with the mower, you're pressing that grass down and you're never actually getting the seed heads off. So I've got quite a quick fix today to help us deal with this problem. Now, I say deal with because I'm not actually going to be eradicating the problem completely, but I am going to be getting on with the Scarifier and bringing those weed heads to the surface. Now, the best tool for this job would actually be a verticutter, because what a verticutter does, it has nice thin blades that cut into the grass, they cut the lateral growth, and it helps to rip some of those weed seeds to the top. So then when you go on with your lawnmower, you can actually rip off all of those weed grasses that you've cut through. Now, you're not actually killing the plant itself, but you are, reducing the likelihood of those seeds getting onto your lawn and then actually being able to germinate. However, I do not have a verticutter, but what I do have is a Scarifier. Now, these blades will do a similar job to what the verticutter will do, but you can see they are quite thick, because the idea behind these is they're meant to dig into the soil and rip out a layer of thatch. So when I actually go on with the Scarifier, I'm not going to be putting it on any of these low settings. I'm going to keep it on the top setting. I might move it down to this one potentially if I need to, because I don't want it to be digging into the soil. All I want it to be able to do is rake through the grass and pull up any of the grasses that have been grown laterally, so I can nick the tops off and actually remove any seed heads that are knocking about on the lawn. If you do want to get rid of power annua permanently, there's a few things you could do. You could kill your lawn entirely, start from scratch, but it's expensive and it's a big job and it takes a lot of time. You could go round and pull them out all individually, because they've got quite shallow roots, so they're not too difficult to pull out. So you could pull them out individually and then you could reseed all of those spaces, and that'll help as well. Or you can just manage the situation by just taking off those seed heads. So first off, I'm going to go with the hater on the 4th highest setting, take off a bit of the top growth before I get on with the Scarifier. Now, if I just bring it in close over here now, you can see that even though it's at a cut, if I just pull at some of these weed grasses here, you can just see how tall they are actually standing, because, they're lying laterally on the lawn and there's no way on earth they're being cut and being removed. So, time to get on with the Scarifier. It's going to rake through these, pull them all up to the top, and then we'll get on again with the hater and nick them off. Now, you have got to remember, you've got to leave your Scarifier on one of the highest settings possible, because we don't want to be getting into the soil layer. We just want to be raking up a lot of that grass and pulling, those weed heads to the top and vertically cutting the lawn. If you don't have a verticutter, it is ideal, but if you've only got a Scarifier, you can only work with what you've got. You'll notice that I'm going to go with the stripes as best I can, just to, rake through the grass that's being flattened, and then I'm going to go across this way and that way, and hopefully, tackle those weed heads from a different angle. So let's get to it. Maybe should have started at the bottom of the lawn and moved upwards, because this cable is driving me absolutely round the bend. If you've got a cordless one, life be a whole lot easier. You can see it's pulled so much of the weed grass to the top. It's even cut some of the heads off. Now it is important that you get on and bag these, you know, when you get back on with your lawnmower, because if you leave these on your grass, then obviously it's going to lead to more weed grasses. If you have a look in the grass collection box too, you can see from what's in there, we've got a lot of weed grasses knocking about. A little bit of grass too, because it has vertically cut the lawn, but quite a bit of weed grass. So I'm going to go on again. I'm going to go this way instead and see how much more we can pull up. You little stupid thing. Got nettles. Why the hell have I got nettles in this garden? Well, that's another weed I'm going to have to deal with today. Oh, that's in the far corner, not a natural lawn, thank goodness. Right, I'm going to get on and nick off any of the weed heads. I'm going to just take the hater down to the third highest setting this time instead, just to make sure that I take off as much as possible. There we go, this is one of the plants that I've just pulled out now. So you can see, obviously all the seed heads are being removed from this wheatgrass, which is obviously Poa annua, but you can see just how shallow the roots actually are. So, you know, they're not very resilient plants. You know, quite a big reason why we get these wheatgrasses sort of like this time of year is because of the lack of water that the lawn's actually getting. So because we're getting very infrequent, you know, shower spells from the rain, it means that because it's not raining a lot, the water's not really getting deep enough sort of into the soil to, you know, give the grass that really healthy growth. And a lot of the water's sitting sort of surface level, and it encourages the growth of plants like this. So what I'm thinking of doing now, it's going to be a bit of a job, but I'm going to go across the entire lawn and I'm going to see how many of these I can pull out by hand before I actually get on with the Scarifier again. No, change of plan. Before I actually get on with this, I'm going to get on with the power rake attachment, and I'll tell you why. So although the actual Scarifier is vertically cut the grass quite well, there are still some of these that are lying flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rake attachment, which is this, almost like a power rake, and I'm going to take the actual Scarifier setting a little bit lower, because this is going to actually, you know, scrape the soil level, not doing too much damage, but it'll drag more of the actual weed plants to the top. So you can see patches like this now have been raked right to the surface. So there we go. Just use the fork, just get it in underneath the plant, raise the actual roots and pull it out. Now you will end up with patches like this in your lawn, but what you can do is once you have cut the grass again, you can go through, you can put a bit of topsoil in, you can overseed them, because that is one of the best solutions to, you know, removing Poa annua or any type of weed grass, is to replace it with the grass that you do want, and hopefully that crowds out any of the weed grasses. So I'm going to get to removing all these, see how long it takes. So there we go, I pulled most out by hand using, you know, the trusty fork, which is a little bit bent now, but inevitably I will have missed a few of them, which, you know, isn't a big deal, because I can do this again in a few weeks' time if need be. But what I am going to do next is I'm going to get on again with the Scarifier, with the rake attachment. I'm going to rake it up, give it one last cut on the hater, potentially bringing it down to the second lowest setting, and then I'll be getting on with some fertilizer. Right, so to fill in these spaces now where the wheatgrass once was, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the Western topsoil, which is actually the topsoil that I used to level this earlier in the year, but it doesn't actually matter the type of topsoil you use. You want to be using topsoil for this rather than compost, because compost is going to decompose, whereas the topsoil contains quite a bit of sand and things, organic matter, and that's going to be there for quite a while. Put it in that space, give it a brush, make sure it feels fairly level. Make sure all the rest of the grass is sticking through. Then a little bit of seed over the top, like so. And a little bit more soil over the top. Just brushing it in with your hand. You can wear gloves, but you know, you're not gonna die if you don't wear gloves doing it. And the patch is overseeded, so I'm gonna do the same thing now to all the rest. And we should be ready to go. Right, so I'm going to get on the lawn with the A1 Lawns Spring Summer Fertiliser. Now, the reason I'm putting this fertiliser down now is because you'll have noticed quite a lot of the grass blades are a little bit yellow. And the reason for that at this time of year, usually anyway, is the fact that there's a lack of nitrogen in the soil for the plant to feed off of. So I'm going to put some of the fertiliser down. It'll give the current grass a boost of growth, and then hopefully over the next few weeks, the new grass will start to come through too. So I'm using the Scott's drop spreader to apply this fertiliser today. I've got it on the 6th setting on the dial. It's big enough for obviously the fertilisers to fall through, but it's not so big where I'm going to end up risking, you know, burning the lawn. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some seaweed onto the lawn with a little bit of wetting agent too. Now, the aim of the seaweed is to promote good root development for the grass plant, and the wetting agent is just going to help any moisture that falls onto the lawn soak in really, really well. And what it does is it breaks down the water tension of each of the water droplets and just enables that water to be more evenly distributed throughout the soil. So always make sure to put a little bit of water in your knapsack sprayer first before applying anything to the actual lawn, just to make sure that it mixes in really well. I know someone's going to comment as well and mention about spraying the sliders, but it's only wetting agents and seaweed. Nothing that's going to hurt my skin or kill me. But yeah, it is advisable to wear proper shoes. Now, the reason I've done this today is because we are expecting quite a bit of rain over the next week. So hopefully all the fertiliser will be watered in, and within about a week or two, this lawn is going to be looking as green as the lawn up at the top. So you can see this is only 4 days after actually fertilising the lawn, and the difference is absolutely massive. Now, granted, it's only been 4 days, the fertiliser hasn't completely dissolved yet, but over the next week or so, it's only going to get thicker and it's only going to get greener. I had a comment on one of my last videos about actually cutting the lawn a little bit shorter, just so that it's easier to keep on top of the weed grass problem. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. I've taken the setting on the hater from 4 down to 3, and hopefully that'll make a little bit more of a difference. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, give it a like, and if you'd like to check out any of my other content, then head over to my channel, and if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. And finally, thanks for watching.